When Joshua dies, we begin a new period in Israelite history referred to as the period of the Judges. Now, the book of Judges covers a span of about 200 years. However, the stories of the judges themselves portrayed in this book should not necessarily be viewed chronologically. Think of the book more as a collection of tales of the judges. Tales of the judges. A quick refresher on what we mean by a judge. Remember, a judge did not lead the entire nation of Israel. Rather, the judge was in charge of specific tribes within Israel. In Exodus, it was Jethro who advised Moses to create a judge system. In Deuteronomy, it was God. Fact of the matter is, the judges were created to assist Moses on handling the daily affairs and disputes that Moses was dealing with. In the book of Judges, the role of the judge is still handling those disputes, but they're also military leaders. Think of them as kind of your generals. This is still, after all, a period of conquest. Whereas the book of Joshua displays the conquest as a swift event, where they quickly conquer the land and then settle geographically, the book of Judges is probably a little bit more historically realistic, that the battles are long and drawn out. There's no clear winner and loser, a lot of gray area, and your judges were in charge of leading and protecting the Israelites from their foreign oppressors. So in short, the threefold function of a judge: settle disputes within and among the tribes, defend Israel against her enemies, and a religious role, that of leading the Israelites back to God when they fall astray. In the book of Judges, you have 6 major judges and 6 minor judges. In short, the difference between a major judge and a minor judge is how much information we have about them. I'm not making that up. A major judge does not necessarily mean they are better than a minor judge. It's just that a minor judge, we might have 1 or maybe 2 verses on their whole careers, and a major judge, well, in the case of Samson, you have a number of chapters portraying Samson's story. So that's it. It really comes down to the length of their stories, the details associated with their stories. Now, how the judges were significantly different from heroes such as Abraham and Moses and Joshua is that almost all of the judges portrayed in the book of Judges are morally flawed and pretty foolish.
Kind of foolish.
And in regards to the major judges, they are underdogs. What I want to do real quick is list the 6 major judges and what exactly was underdog about them and what exactly was foolish about their behavior. In narrative order, we begin with Othniel. Othniel is described as being a younger brother. Underdog. His story is really not that interesting, but what you get out of his story is the cycle of apostasy that we're going to talk about in the next episode. Next, we have Ehud. What I love about Ehud is that he's left-handed. I'm left-handed, so I kind of like that. And that's his underdog. His underdog characteristic actually leads to his success. When he is going to assassinate the king of Moab, Eglon, Eglon is described as being a very fat man. Ehud is frisked, but in a right-handed culture, where would you keep your sword? On the left side of your body. So the soldiers would frisk Ehud's left side of the body to see if he's carrying any type of weaponry.
Excuse me. Hey, I'm going to take that personal in a second.
No offense.
Obviously, Ehud was storing his sword on the right side of his body, so as a left-handed person, he can reach over to the right side and pull out his sword.
I am not left-handed.
So this proves to be an advantage when he assassinates King Eglon. Now, in a sense, the book of Judges really does read like a comic book. Because it is smack-talking one's enemies. It is literally Israelite propaganda to raise the morale of the Israelite troops while talking trash about the Israelite enemies. And the story of Ehud actually contains toilet humor with an actual toilet. I am not making this up. When Ehud stabs Eglon, it says Eglon's belly consumes the sword and then dirt comes out of his belly. This is the Bible, my friends. It really wasn't dirt.
Now that's funny.
So the sword or dagger is consumed into the belly of Eglon, and Ehud cannot withdraw it from his belly. And then Ehud closes the shutters, locks him in a room, and then escapes. Then Eglon's servants out in the hall think that the king is more or less kind of having problems with bowel movements.
Are you okay? Okay, just take your time. It's all right.
You know, he's been in there over a half an hour.
He's a bit constipated, is what the soldiers think, because he's taking a long time in his chamber, and they get kind of embarrassed by that. My friends, this is the Bible, and there literally is toilet humor in the Bible. Book of Judges, story of Ehud, you gotta check it out. But his underdog becomes his advantage. And a lot of times, again, that's how God works through us. What we might consider a weakness or something that makes us different is actually going to be our biggest strength. Our next major judge is Deborah, and in short, her underdog is the fact that she's a woman.
Woman! Whoa, man! Whoa, man!
Sometimes controversial to think that the woman was a judge. Some argue that it was actually her assistant, Barak. No, not that one. But she had an assistant named Barak. Some argue that might have been the actual judge. But for the most part, she doesn't really do anything interesting in her story. But the story of Jael, J-A-E-L.
You will bow down before me, Jorel!
Not Jorel.
You will bow down before me!
Jael nails a tent spike into the temple of a man, into the ground. Interesting imagery. Again, kind of comic booky. Next we have Gideon. What's underdog about Gideon is that he's described as being the least in his family from the weakest clan. He's a double underdog, or double dog?
Now it was serious. A double dog?
Gideon's foolishness rests in the fact that he creates a false idol that the Israelites worship, which results in the ruin of Gideon and his whole family. Next we have Jephthah, and Jephthah is described as the son of a prostitute. There's his underdog, because again, you're associated with what your parents are, and if she's a call girl, if you will, he's not going to be the most likely candidate for a religious position, correct? Jephthah's foolishness is that he makes a vow with God that says if they were to defeat the Ammonites, he would sacrifice the first person he sees that comes out of his house when he gets home. Well, they win. And he must maintain, of course, this promise he made to God. So Jephthah goes home, and the first person he sees coming out of the house to greet him is his daughter. And he tells the daughter, hey, I made this deal with God. I have to sacrifice the first person. She's like, oh, no, you did. He's like, yeah, I know, totally. She's like, can I go up into the mountains to mourn my virginity? Now, what does that line mean exactly? Israelite culture was, if you're a woman, your prime function is to produce babies. So if she is a virgin and she never had a child, essentially what was the point of her life? And so she's essentially going up to the mountains to mourn the fact that her life was meaningless. She does that for 3 days, and then she comes back down, and then Dad sacrifices her to God. Yeah. Our final judge, who's probably the most well-known of the judges, is Samson. Samson's story spans 4 chapters. I don't want to get into detail on his stories, but Samson is the son of a barren woman, so his underdog, in a sense, is the barrenness of his mom. Barren women would have been frowned upon in society, but she gave birth, and so now, yay. Kind of like an underdog, kind of. Samson's story is kind of in the folklore realm that says that his hair is the source of his strength, namely in defeating the Philistine enemy. Kills 1,000 men with a jawbone. He kills a lion and honey comes out. There's a story about a fox.
What does the fox say?
The fox says, shut up. And then ultimately ends up with the wrong woman. This woman is Delilah, and the Philistines go to Delilah. They ask Delilah to find out what is the secret of his strength. She asks him twice. On both accounts, he lies to her, and the Philistines come in that night and try to kill him, and he defeats the Philistines. And then Delilah gets upset. Honey, you keep lying to me. And Samson should be like, woman, you keep trying to kill me. So the foolishness in Samson is that he eventually tells his wife Delilah, What is the secret of his strength? Now, this is one of the funniest pieces of scripture that you can find in the Bible. She nagged him continually and vexed him with her complaints till he was deathly weary of them. So he took her completely into his confidence and told her, "No razor has ever touched my head, and I have been consecrated to God from my mother's womb. If I am shaved, my strength will leave me, and I shall be weak as any other man." Samson reveals the source of his strength because he's tired of his wife nagging him. He already knows that by revealing the source of strength, this is going to lead to his ruin. Think about Samson's mindset. Samson is essentially saying, "Woman, I would rather be in prison by the Philistines than to deal with your nagging." Good Bible verse for a wedding, right?
Oh, God.
Well, sure as heck, Delilah tells the Philistines, and they shave his head, they gouge out his eyes, he has no strength, he's blind.
You're blind.
They chain him to a pillar in the Philistine temple. His hair starts to grow back quickly, he regains his strength, pulls down the pillars, and kills himself and all the Philistines under that temple's roof. Foolishness. So what you need to remember about the book of Judges is that it's essentially a propaganda book to raise the morale of the Israelites and to talk smack about the Israelite enemies. A lot of stupidity, a lot of foolishness. But what is interesting is that all 6 of those major judges are underdogs. And they're uniquely underdogs too. God continues to work through these underdogs.
Hey there, Delilah, this is your ex-boyfriend Samson, and I know you thought that lifting weights made me so buff and handsome. You were wrong. It's 'cause I let my hair grow long that makes me strong. Hey there, Delilah, you came in while I was sleeping, and I couldn't feel you cutting, and I didn't hear you creeping out the door. You left my hair piled on the floor while I just snored. Oh, what you did to me, oh, while I was asleep. Oh, I'm a Nazarene, oh, but you shaved me clean. Delilah, you're so mean. Killed a lion big and mean and slaughtered many Philistines, all with the donkey's jawbone, that's no lie. But now I'm chained up to the wall and I can't cry no tears at all because they came and gouged out both my eyes. Why'd you grab your clipping shears and shave my head like Britney Spears? And now I'm standing here in total shame and you're to blame. Hey there, Delilah, why did you have to deceive me? And it's hard for me to think not long ago I wanted you to be my bride. But you took too much off the sides. Hey there, Delilah, when you die, just tell the devil I said hi, and he'll know why. Oh, it's what you did to me. Oh, now I feel so weak.